The NASCAR Whelen Euro Series will continue its travels around Europe and for the first time ever will head to Most in the Czech Republic on the 29th and 30th of June. With 4 races over the course of the weekend, there'll be plenty for the fans and the drivers to get excited about. The NASCAR Grand Prix of the Czech Republic also marks the halfway point of the 2019 season. Close racing and pure racing are guaranteed. But when the checkered flag falls, who will claim the win? Well, welcome back, everybody, to the sweltering conditions that we've got here at Autodrom Most for our first ever visit of the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series to the Czech Republic. The crowds are enjoying what are beautiful, beautiful clear skies here, and the drivers for the final race of the weekend, the Elite One division, are on the circuit now. Most became a permanent motor racing facility in what was the former Czechoslovakia, of course now the Czech Republic, when it opened its doors in 1983. And it's one of the longer circuits that we visit. It is 4.21 kilometres or 2.62 miles, 17 key points to the circuit. If you count up all of the small little kinks that are there as well in this flowing track, 21 turns or corners or kinks for the drivers to deal with. We saw some great racing from the Elite One drivers yesterday. They are on the grid, ready for this second race of the weekend for them, round 8 of their championship, and it will be held over 17 laps. You can see, fans on the roofs of the cars, for instance, there as we head down onto the grid. Let's catch up with Andre, who is down on the grid, ready to chat to some of the drivers.
Stinas, it's your first race as the Elite One championship leader. What's your strategy today?
Yeah, my strategy is to extend the lead. Day is starting behind me, so if I just finish in front of him, I will be extending more points, so that's already good. Also, try to score a lot of points today, and if there is a possibility, I will try to win the race, because I'm now 5 times P2, and I want to win a race for sure.
5 second places, but no win in the Elite One. What does it take to be a winner in this division?
Yeah, it takes a lot of work, and also everything has to be right. So I've been there quite a few times on second position, close but not there. So, but I'm not trying to focus on that. I'm trying to focus on the championship.
All right, thank you very much, Stinas Loja.
Yeah, and Stinas makes a very valid point there, focusing on the championship. Consistency is what brings you championship, and 5 second places, a 4th, and another top 10 finish is what sees him at the top of the points. There's actually only one driver that stepped up from Elite 2 into Elite 1 and won a race, and that is Gianmarco Ercoli for Racers Motorsport at the wheel of the number 9 Ford, and he will start on the second row of the grid in 3rd position. So we'll see as to what he might be able to do. There he is. You can just see the number 9 car there, largely black and orange. We'll get some more interviews, but before we get the interviews, we're going to catch up with the driver that's just to my left, who's joined me in the commentary box for this one. Delighted to say Advait Deodat joins me in the commentary box. Advait, it was an interesting race for you, but we will catch up with Advait actually in a second. Let's head back down to the grid and grab a word with another one of the drivers, who's with Andre.
Martin, it's your first ever NASCAR Whelen Euro Series race in front of your home crowd. How do you feel?
Yeah, it's very nice. I'm very excited, and I'm happy now that I can start from the second row. So I hope it will be podium now.
What do you expect in this condition? It's very hot here.
Yeah, it's very hot here. I think that inside the car is around 60 degrees now.
So what's your goal today?
In Elite 2, I had some problems with gearbox, so I didn't finish, and now I think that it can be a nice race and it can be first podium in Elite 1.
All right, Martin Dubek, thank you very much.
Great to hear from Martin Dubek, his home NASCAR Grand Prix. Advait Yoda joins me in the commentary box. Advait, interesting race for you. Pitched into a spin at the first corner in Elite 2 and worked your way through into the top 7 in the end.
Yeah, actually it was frustrating, and I think I did the best I could to redeem myself. I had a good start, and I had a good start, and then unfortunately, I tried to go around the outside, but I think one of the cars locked up, hit Andre Castro, and Dubek hit me, and I was thrown into a spin, and I fell dead last. The car switched off as well, and was not getting back on, so I was stuck for about 15 seconds with a dead engine and a lot of frustration, and then I managed to start her off again, and I think drove the hardest I ever have in a race car, and really I left absolutely no room for error. I gave it everything and finished 7th, so it's good for the championship. I needed some points, better than having a retirement.
It was a great comeback drive from you. So the American national anthem playing, we're just about heading towards the Czech national anthem for our final race of the weekend. All of the teams and the drivers and the team members respecting the national anthem, and there is Loris Hazemans, who was on for a win yesterday. He must have been disappointed, Loris Hazemans. Winks at the camera, and we will maybe see him work his way through the order. He is in 2nd place, the outside of the front row of the grid, and he must have been disappointed yesterday, Advait, because he was on for the win, the engine blew up, and well, that was him done.
Yeah, I think, Loris was driving very, very well. He took Nicola with him, actually. Nicola Rocca was staying with him. There was, I think, about a 2-second gap all along until that catastrophic and quite wild explosion that we saw that took place. And yeah, it was very, very tough luck, but I was impressed as to how well he handled it. I think any other driver would have had their head in their hands, and just Loris had a smile on his face, and he was like, that's motorsport, it happens. And yeah, I think he was doing a fantastic job yesterday, so I look forward to seeing how he's going to do later today.
Well, it wasn't just he did a fantastic job in the race, and Giorgio Maggi in the Elite 2 race did a fantastic job with the new engine that Hendricks Motorsport put in within 2 hours. You know, it was a proper team effort to get that car back on the grid for the second race. So national anthems are finished. We can probably just have a look at the way the grid is going to line up for this one very shortly, as the drivers now have sort of respected the national anthems, and they will be heading into their cars very, very shortly. So the grid is formed as per the fastest laps that were posted in yesterday's races. So Nicola Rocca, yesterday's race winner, it was, 1,386 days since Nicola Rocca's last win in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. That was a long time coming, wasn't it, his 4th ever career victory?
Yeah, I'm sure that must have tasted very, very sweet. And yeah, he's been absolutely on the pace ever since. And I think he's looking good today as well. He's got Loris side by side. And I think Loris is going to be extremely, extremely charged today in order to make up for the loss of yesterday's win. So I think Nicola's got a tough fight on his hands.
And there is Martin Dubek. We had a quick chat to him earlier. His home NASCAR Grand Prix. How must he be feeling? Because he's sort of got the hopes and the pride of the nation sitting on his shoulders this weekend. Our first ever visits for the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series to his home country. Huge amounts of support. He had the disappointments when he was on for a podium potentially in the Elite 2 race, your race earlier on, but it'd be great to see him get a good result in this one, wouldn't it?
I think actually this is very, very impressive. Martin starting 5th today in Elite 1, which we know is a very, very difficult division. So I think hats off to Martin for being in the position he is right now. And he's a cool guy. He doesn't seem the type who gets affected very much by pressure. So I think he's got that on his side. But starting 5th, and he's got a lot of quick drivers around him. Looking at their lap times, I think they will be quicker in the race. So it's going to be interesting to see. Martin just needs to keep his head down and drive as smartly as possible.
I was going to make that very point about quick drivers around him. Look behind him, Fred Gabillon, 3 times a runner-up. At the same row as Fred Gabillon, Luca Lasser, a double champion. Lando Villarino is behind him, a 3 times champion. Alan Day, the reigning champion, a double champion, is behind him on the grid. And Jacques Villeneuve, who joins us for the full season, the 1995 kart champion, Indy 500 winner, and of course 1997 Formula 1 world champion, behind him on the grid. So Martin Dubek will be pushing hard, but also watching his mirrors, I suspect.
I'm probably getting pushed hard as well. So that'll be interesting to see. I think it's going to be a very, very interesting race just because of where, like you just mentioned, there's a lot of quick drivers who've been shuffled up, and just seeing guys like Ander, Allen make their way through. I think fans have got a very, very good race ahead of us.
We can see some of the fans there walking off with a souvenir or two, some of the used tyres that they are walking away with. The fans enjoying picking up some souvenirs from General Tyres, our exclusive tyre supplier in the 2019 NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. And another thing we ought to say before we get the race underway is a happy retirement Darrell Waltrip as well. He has been a star on the other side of the Atlantic as a commentator for many a year indeed on NASCAR, and we wish him a very, very happy retirement indeed from all of your friends over on this side of the Atlantic involved in NASCAR. Just tell us about the heat and the conditions. A lot of drivers understandably saying, and what did I post on social media early on? Track temperature 44.7 degrees.
There was track temperature, and I think it goes to above 60 in the car.
Wow.
But the main thing is, of course, once you're moving, it's fine. And I think everyone over here is a very, very high level of drivers, so they do push themselves physically. It's as long as you're well hydrated and I think you work out enough, it's fine. But one major thing which a lot of people don't realize is your right foot. That accelerator was boiling yesterday. It was very, very hot. And I thought it was just me, but all the other drivers were talking about that. And the temperature is quite a few degrees higher today. So I really think we're going to see some, probably after lap 12 or 13, you're going to see a few drivers starting to back off the pace. It's because it just gets so hot, that coupled with the accelerator temperature.
That inside the car, the fact that, you know, everything is working hard on a day like this. The car, the tyres, the drivers, and everything in these temperatures is transpiring against you. It's trying to sort of unravel things. So there is the grid. Let's see whether we might be able to get a graphic up that can guide you through the grid. Nicola Rocca sits on pole position, his Chevy for PK Carsport, and alongside is number 50 Loris Hasemans, the first Ford on the grid for Hendricks Motorsports. Row 2 of the grid, the Italian Gianmarco Ercoli and Stinis Longines for PK Carsport, the championship leader. The third row of the grid, Martin Dubec and Alexander Graf, and then it's a raft of French drivers on the grid. Row 4, Fred Gabillon on Luca Lasser. Row 5, Romain Iniesta and the reigning Elite 2 champion, number 36, Ulysse Delso. And row 6 is where we see number 27, Tomo Ferrando, lining up alongside Sebastian Bleekemolen. The next row of the grid sees Ander Villarino, 3 times a champion, line up alongside the Finnish driver, Henry Tuomala, well done. And row 8 of the grid is Alan Day, the reigning champion. Not a great lap time from yesterday, sees him 15th on the grid alongside Francisco Cini. Jacques Villeneuve and Eric Tedonka on row number 9. Salvador Tinio Arroyo and Dario Carzo on row number 10. Enan Law and Mauro Trioni on row number 11. Mauro driving your car, of course. And the back of the grid is where we see Kenko Miura. So a few drivers out of position relative to their pace, largely because they didn't get a good lap time in for whatever reason yesterday. And that's the good dynamic we see, isn't it? The way that the regulations are written in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series.
Exactly, and like I said, I love to hear predictions. Mark, what do you think the top 5 is going to be like? Let's hear your...
Oh, thank you for putting me on the spot. Now, just remind me why I invited you again. I think Nicola Rocca is going to claim a double win. I think it's a bit like buses. You wait for one and 2 come along at once. I think Loris Hasemans will finish in 2nd place, and I think Stinis Longines will finish in 3rd. After that, I really don't know, but I want to see Martin Dubec get a good finish, for sure. It's his own Grand Prix, why not?
Of course, yeah.
Go on, then. You.
I don't agree. I think Loris is going to win this race. I definitely think so. I think he's going to get Nicola within the first 2 or 3 laps. So I think Loris is going to win. I think Stinis is probably... Actually, it's going to be a PK 2-3. I think very similar to yesterday.
Yeah.
Nicola is going to follow Loris in 2nd, Stinis 3rd. But I think it's going to be interesting after that. I just see guys like Alan and Villarino. Hopefully, I mean, Villarino is a quick driver, but I just don't think they've had the balance for this track. It will be interesting to see as to how they move up.
The instruction has been given for the drivers to start their engines, so we're not that far away now from getting the rolling lap underway. We were talking, in fact, I think I was talking with one of your colleagues as well, an hour or so ago. Alan Day, we were chatting to him in the media centre early on, is approaching this race on the basis that he starts 15th. There are 4 extra championship points available if you gain the most places from your starting position to your finishing position. And Alan has already done the maths. If he finishes in 5th place, he will get points equivalent to finishing in 2nd. And that's the mental attitude he's going into this race with. 5th is just like finishing 2nd. That's not a bad approach, is it?
That is it, but let me tell you one thing. Alan Day says one thing when he's outside the car. Alan's not going to go and settle for 5th place.
He will want the win, yeah.
Let me tell you that. He's not going to do that. So, yeah. Well, I wish this point started for just through the race.
So, and of course, we are still in the main part of the season. We've got Venray coming up in just 2 weeks' time, the only oval circuits on the calendar, for which there will just be 1 race each for Elite 1 and Elite 2. And then we head to the semi-finals, which are double points. So we will look forward to the double points races at both Hockenheimring in Germany on the 21st and 22nd of September, and Zolder in Belgium, which will hold the finals of the championship on the 5th and 6th of October. So the cars very shortly will be heading off onto their rolling lap. And just talk us through the process as a racing driver you go through at this point when the green flag is on.
I think the first thing over here, because we only have 1 lap before we go green. So it's very, very important to get your temperatures in your tires up to where you want them to be. So weaving is extremely important. And over here at the circuit in Most, we're supposed to line up in a 2x2 just midway through the circuit. So we really, really need to work our tires and our brakes in the initial part, because it's one of the longest of the entire calendar. It's one of the longest places we have where we're lined up 2x2. And you're not allowed to weave, you're not allowed to brake and accelerate once you're in 2x2. So the first sector is very, very important, where we really need to get heat into those tires.
I know there are many of you watching all over the world. You're actually, if you're watching on YouTube, joined by a team manager as well on YouTube. Alfonso Diorlian Bonbon from Racing Engineering is watching online. He's been chatting to some of you as well. So pitch your questions at us. We'll either I'll answer them or Advite Dioda will, and it may be Alfonso will chip in as well and answer some of those questions. We'll certainly get to them if we get a safety car period. But I suspect we are on for a frantic race in this one. First corner here, introduced and reprofiled. It was a smaller chicane previously, but it's a much tighter chicane now, which does mean there is a bottleneck going into that first corner. And particularly on pole position, you're braking on the dirty side of the track, aren't you?
Exactly, you are. But to be honest, in a lot of tracks where you know the inside's going to have an advantage, I don't think the same over here. I think the outside's got a massive advantage starting in second place over here as well, because like you said, the first place is braking on the inside, on the dirty side, and if the driver in second place gets alongside, he's got the inside line for turn 2. So it's going to be interesting to see if Loris gets his nose alongside Rocca, and we'll see him come out of turn 2 in the lead.
Well, it was a PK Car Sport 1-2 yesterday. Nicola Rocca claiming the win over his teammate Stinish Longines. It's not the first PK Car Sport 1-2 we've had. Many years ago, Anthony Kumpen and Bert Longines managed a 1-2 when they were both racing for the team. So we'll see as to whether they can do it again, or I suspect that Loris Hasemans is going to try his very best, amongst many others, to try and upset the apple cart. Remember, there are in reality 3 different categories in this as well. We've got the overall category, we've got the junior category, which is for drivers aged under 25 at the beginning of the season that enter the Elite One Championship, and we also have the Challenger Trophy as well, which is for bronze and silver graded drivers entering this championship. Not that you're biased, but what a fantastic car number 31 is. Yeah. Just what's the name on the side? Oh, Dioda, isn't it? Yeah.
So yeah, like I was saying earlier, so we line up very, very early in the lap, side by side. So you have to really, really work the first sector to get heat into those tires.
I suppose thankfully it's a longer circuit, isn't it? So whilst you get into 2x2 formation early in the lap, compared to some circuits, you've actually done as much distance as getting into 2x2 formation on a shorter circuit quite late into the lap.
Exactly, but it's just that you're rolling without doing anything else for that time, so the temperature does drop, so that's why I really, really need to work it. But yeah, I think we're almost good to go, 30 seconds.
Well, let's wait and see. So this is a 17-lap race that will bring the curtain down on our first ever NASCAR Grand Prix of the Czech Republic. The Mustang Fastback safety car peels into the pit lane side by side up towards the start-finish line. Buckle up, everybody. We're about to go green for the final time here at Most this weekend. Nicola Rocca on pole position. The number 50 Ford of Loris Hasemans alongside. The green flag flies, and it's a good start from Nicola Rocca, who's already got the jump on Loris Hasemans. Gianmarco Ercoli looking to try and see whether he can thread himself alongside the Hendricks Motorsport Ford as they head up towards turn 1 for the first time. We're almost 3 wide. Further back, there's a little bit of jostling. Lock brakes from Ercoli, who just squeezes his way through, but it is going to be Nicola Rocca that comes out in the lead of the race, with Loris Hasemans in second place. Gianmarco Ercoli in third. Contact further back. Ariana Casserly is heading through the gravel.
That's Alan Day and Jacques Villeneuve. Oh, this is round 2 of reminiscent of yesterday. So that's Alan's been spun out, and we've got Ercoli, he's got into third. Alex Graf has made a few points, positions as well. And Dubec has fallen back, but that's not very, very good for Alan or for Jacques.
No, it's not. Damage to the front end of Jacques Villeneuve's car. Alan Day out of the gravel. Apologies. Ariana Casserly drives that car in the Elite 2 division. Kenko Miura went through the gravel as well, and I think probably the Japanese driver was able to dig his way out as a result of those problems, but that has compromised a couple of the cars that we were hoping would work their way through. Big slide. Alexander Graf all through the gravel trap, and just about manages to hang on to the Memphis racing car. And well, that was a scary moment. That was a quick run through the gravel, Advite.
Because that's a very fast corner. You just downshift into third gear and you're flat out as soon as you hit the apex, and that's a very, very fast corner to have gone off. That might create some damage on the under part of the car as well, but oh, Alan, there's Alan, he's retired. No, that's a shame.
Alan Day was the championship leader coming into this weekend, but it looks as though he is not even going to chalk a lap into the book. So we will wait and see as to whether he's going to limp round. But that car
Someone's
looks as
off
though it's
again.
heading towards retirement. Yeah, it looks like they're all.
That's Lasser holding everyone up, and that's all right. We got Lasser, we got Dubek, Delso, Alexander Graf.
And that is Fred Gabion getting a run there, isn't it, on Martin Dubek heading up towards turn number one. The RDV competition looks one way, looks the other. He's got the inside line. Can he squeeze his way through? The answer is no, not quite. Dubek still hangs on to it. He's got Luca Lasser ahead of him. He's got Fred Gabion behind him. And then after that,
Roman Inianera, who's made his way up as well. But that was very good defending by Lasser. Well done there.
I was slightly confused by Lasser's car there because it's got a white front end to it now. They've obviously replaced that since the race earlier on when Ben Kriener was driving that car and made a little bit of contact with somebody on the braking. So the squabble's continuing on circuit. The cars that had the issues at turn number one and turn number two have dragged themselves out of harm's way. So I think it's just localised yellows, if any, at the moment. And Loris Hazemans leads on the completion of one lap by over a second from Nicola Rocca, so he's getting away. He's got the pace.
Yeah, he has, and it's there. I feel like Lasser and Dubek are holding up the others because Gabion and Graf actually going back to Graf. That's impressive that he's actually kept it there.
Now, was there a little bit of smoke just coming from the tail end of Fred Gabion's car? There is, isn't there?
That looks like a body part hitting part of the, probably hitting the rear tire.
Yeah, it's definitely something, isn't it?
It doesn't seem to affect his pace, but yeah, it's probably rubbing somewhere.
Well, when it's under load through the left-hander, you didn't particularly see it. It was a little bit wide there. That will pick up a bit of dust onto the controlled general slip tyres that they all run under pressure from Romain Iniesta. Further back, it looks as though...
Ercole making a move. Yeah, that's tyre damage.
It is, and he's going off. Yeah, Fred Gabion has gone off as a result of that damage that we spotted all through the gravel. He might just be able to limp his way back towards pit lane entry there, which would be handy if he could. If not, he's got another lap to do on that tyre, which begs the question, doesn't it? Over the start-finish line they'll go.
That's Ercole on Fernando, who's going for a move on the inside. Is he going to make it? Fernando's good on the brakes. And another puff of smoke as well. Well done. Oh,
tiny bit of contact.
A good move by Ercole. I'll hand that over to him. Now a bit of smoke, even though he was on the inside and off the racing line. Very, very good move by Ercole.
Both of them eligible for the junior trophy. So again, despite the fact they've been around a while, both are still under 25 years of age at the beginning of the season. Luca Lasser still under pressure from number 7, Martin Dubek, at his home NASCAR Grand Prix. This is the fight for 4th and 5th position with the Racing Engineering number 88 car of Romain Iniesta, the Ford, just that little bit further back. Already though, the front two are scampering away. Loris Hazemans and Nicola Rocca first and second. Stinis Longines in 3rd place. Then this battle for 4th that we're concentrating on. Luca Lasser under pressure from Martin Dubek, Thomas Ferrando, Gianmarco Ercole, Alexander Graf, Ulysse Delso towards the bottom of the top 10 all together, aren't they? That's a good little fight that's going on there, but Luca Lasser knows a thing or two about NASCAR racing. He was a champion way back before the affiliation with NASCAR, 2009, 2010, but he's being put under pressure by the local man who's looking for a result.
That's a very, very impressive job actually by Dubek, and he's got a run on Lasser. Unless Lasser blocks him, I think Dubek can make a move on the inside, but this is,
slight touch between the pair of them there, so
I think Dubek needed to be on the outside into that corner because he had a very, very good run. But he's evidently quicker than Lasser. I think his local crowd is really pushing him on.
Sensible driving by Lasser though as well, because whilst he saw Dubek was quicker, he moved to the side of the circuit.
And he's gesturing his hand out over there.
He is gesticulating out of the window. He moved to the side of the circuit, which meant that he got the inside line for the tighter corner at turn number 20. So sensible stuff, knowing that, you compromise yourself through 18 and 19, but it gives you the inside line for turn number 20.
And Longines locked up into the first corner. And I was watching yesterday, Longines was locking up a lot into turn 1. So it's going to be interesting to see how his tyres last over the next 13 laps, because he locked up again. If you just got a glimpse of that, there was a bit of smoke from Longines' car.
So yeah, you need to be careful with that, because of course if you flat spot the tyre, each time you brake it returns back to that flat spot again. For Martin Dubek now, attack is probably less of a consideration now, more consideration towards defence, because the number 88 car of Romain Iniesta has managed to catch up. So Luca Lasser, Martin Dubek and the 88 of Romain Iniesta all now together for 4th, 5th and 6th position as they stretch their legs round through turn number 12 up towards turn number 13. This is the corner you were talking about, wasn't it? The fast corner.
It's a lot of fun. And it's interesting just to let viewers know as to how hot it is outside. Second.
Dubek is trying to unlock the door, isn't he? But at the moment, Luca Lasser is having none of that.
And this is playing it. Oh, he's off. Lasser is off. And That's allowing...
Romain
he's lost.
Iniesta.
Yeah, Iniesta through as well.
2 places lost there. Go on, you were saying.
Yeah, and just to give viewers an idea as to how hot it is outside. Elite 1 pole was 41s.
Yeah.
41.4, and they're lapping 44.5 and 44.6. That just shows how hot it is out there, and that's why there's so much less grip as well. So the drivers are really being put through the test of the year because they're lapping 3 seconds slower.
They're lapping 3 seconds slower in the conditions, and also can't drive even probably at the pace they're doing flat out for the whole race because the car just won't have it.
Exactly. And look at this, Dubek up to 4th place now actually once he crosses the line.
But under pressure from Romain Iniesta, who would desperately like to try and have a good result here as the leading pair are getting together. Loris Hazemans was, remember, 1.2 seconds up the road from Nicola Rocca, and all of a sudden the Hendricks Ford is being caught by the PK Car Sport Chevy. So the fight for the lead is most definitely on.
And Rocca has just put in the fastest lap of the race, 43.6. He was purple in 2 sectors. So Loris looks like either he's conserving his tyres or Nicola's just found some pace and he's going to attack Loris.
We were saying yesterday, though, it's all well and good attacking, which Nicola Rocca appears to be doing at the moment, but as soon as you push the tyre hard in these conditions, all of a sudden it starts to drop away, and from attack and gaining positions, you start to drop further back. Off the circuit, that is Kenko Miura, the Japanese driver who is out of the race. We saw him involved in the first corner skirmish, but it may well be a separate problem has ensued. So
like a replay of yesterday. Loris leading, Rocca second, and breakaway from Longines in third.
It certainly looks like that, yeah. Whether we have the ultimate results that Loris Hazemans is looking for today that he didn't get yesterday, let's hope so for Loris Hazemans. He has only ever won one career race in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. That was back in September of last year. The 15th of September was his first and only NASCAR career win at this stage. And if he wants a second, he's going to have to work for it.
He most definitely is, and it's going to be interesting to see from 4, 5, 6, 7.
Just a quick replay there. It's Luca Lasser running wide. Martin Dubek taking the opportunity to go through, and well, thank you very much, says Romain Iniesta.
Yeah.
I'll have a place too.
Exactly, and I think Lucas he made a mistake and he only has himself to blame over there, but I'm sure he's going to put his head down and try and make up as much as possible.
That's the difficult thing, isn't it, in the competitiveness of the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, and particularly when one corner leads to the next. You make a mistake at one corner, it exacerbates as you head through the next chain of corners.
Exactly, and especially in the last part over here of Most, once you're going from turn 13 all the way up to the exit of 18, you have to get into a flow. You make one mistake and then just compromises the rest of the corner. So it's so important to get into a flow around here.
So here we go for the lead of the race. Still, Stimis Longines sitting there in 3rd place. Look at the gap back now to 4th position. Romain Iniesta now ahead of Martin Dubak. That happened on the lap prior. So it's the race engineering car ahead of the Czech driver.
Yeah, Lasser. We got
Tomo Ferrando,
we got
Gianmarco Ercoli. And then that's Ulysse Delso, isn't it? The reigning Elite 2 champion with the number 36 RDV competition car.
And Fernando and Ercoli are lapping faster than Lucas. They go to the 44s. Lucas did a 46 last time round. So you're going to see these two catch up to car number 33 very quickly. As you can see already, 27 of Fernando is catching up to Lasser, and he's taking Ercoli with him.
One thing we ought to say is that leading the race and leading the junior trophy category as well is Loris Hazemans, and the other category is called the Challenger Trophy, and that is down in 11th position. Car number 23, the Finnish driver Henri Tuomala is at the moment doing what he's really done best all season and head towards potentially another victory in the Challenger Trophy. He's already had, 4 if you count the one yesterday, so this could be potentially victory number 5 for the slightly older drivers is how we'll word it.
Are we going to see a run into the
Championship.
last corner? Fernando, no, he's not.
Yeah, here comes Luca Lasser under pressure from Tomo Ferrando. Gianmarco Ercoli with the best seat in the house, just watching the squabble ahead.
And Iniesta's overtaken Dubek. We missed that somewhere, but if you have a look, Iniesta is ahead of Dubek. Here we are.
Yeah, that happened on the lap prior, so he's been there a lap now, has Romain Iniesta, but isn't really pulling away from the 5th place Martin Dubek. Luca Lasser at the wheel of his number 33 car with that new white front end to it is still watching his mirrors. His fellow countryman behind him. Another locked brake there from the car ahead. That will be Martin Dubek, but he's pushing those tyres hard at this stage, and we are now not that far away, are we, from the half-distance lap in this race.
And if you have a look at this, Loris and Nicola, their last lap was less than 0.018 of a second. Loris did a 43.681, Rocca 43.698. So they are both pushing each other as hard as possible, and they're identical on their lap times, which is very impressive to see at this point in the race.
Looks as though both of the cars have sort of been set up equivalently as well. So I think if if one of them starts to drop off or get stronger, I think the other one will do as well. I think we're in for a real ding-dong battle.
Exactly, and it's going to go all the way for the next 10 laps. And look at this, Dubek is staying with Iannetta, which is very, very impressive to see. I'm highly impressed by what Dubek's doing today.
I'm highly impressed by what he's doing. I'm highly impressed by the fact that physically he must be shattered this weekend, doing Elite 1 and Elite 2 in these conditions.
Exactly, and putting on a stronger show in Elite 1 as well, which is very impressive.
Yeah, let's hope that we get the result that we need for Martin Dubek. He missed the previous rounds at Brands Hatch because he got a knee injury at Franchary Quarter, where he damaged some of the muscles in his left knee, I think it was, and actually had to
Is he going for
have an
it? Come
operation.
on.
He's having a look at the
And
inside.
there we go, nice move. No, but Iannetta staying with him. Oh, that's well done.
Good sensible
Good
driving
driving,
by both of them there. Yeah, Dubek pushing him wide,
Yeah.
but pushing him not too wide.
They were
Fair
leaning on
racing.
each other.
Yeah.
And I think Fernando's got to run on Lasser as well into the first corner, as does Iannetta back onto Dubek. So it's going to be interesting to see the camera pans in the first corner. There we are.
Iannetta's coming back here. He's going to have another nibble at Martin Dubek. He's a long way back, though. That would be a brave move. So Dubek from Romain Iannetta. Again, that snatch break. Luca Lasser with the number 27 of Tomo Ferrando right behind. Then it's Gianmarco Urcoli, Ulis Delso, Alexander Graf after his rally crossing moment on the first lap, and the Villarino. And there is number 70, which is Mirko Schultes.
Wow, and Nicola Rocca did a 43.2, which was half a second quicker on the last lap. So
Yeah. Not Mirko Schultes, Salvador Tinio Arroyo, who drives at number 17 Elite 1, of course, and has switched teams for this weekend. So looks as though gap first to second is still about the same. It's been hovering around anywhere between 0.6 and 0.3 of a second. And in these conditions, Nicola Rocca is pushing for a few laps, then probably just relaxing for a few more. And I suppose as a driver, you're following the car ahead and trying to work out where you might have the advantage, where the best opportunity may be, and also trying to pressurise the driver into making the mistake to create that opportunity.
exactly, and since they're so evenly matched, Nicola's not going to make a silly lunge somewhere because he knows he's got 17 laps because he can stay with Loris. He's got 17 laps to see where he's stronger than Loris, and if he has to make a lunge, if he's going to make a move somewhere, it's going to be towards the latter part of the race. So he knows exactly what, and he's calculated it 10 times in his head before he goes for that move.
And as a driver, it's always easier to chase, isn't it, than be chased.
Oh, trust me, it's a lot easier to chase.
Yeah. So over the start finish time they come. We are now at the half distance lap this time through. So we've got so far all of the race done and dusted under green. On the brakes, it looks as though Nicola Rocca is a little bit stronger on the brakes in towards turn number 1. But as we've seen all weekend, really, from the number 50 Ford, whether it be in the hands of Loris Hasemans or the Elite 2 driver Giorgio Maggi, the middle sector of the lap, they've really got that number 50 Ford hooked up.
It was actually, first of all, everyone was blown away by Maggi's incredible time in qualifying, which was faster than Elite 1. And it was in the middle sector where he gained something like 0.6 of a second.
Yeah.
So they've really, Hendricks have done a fantastic job with their setup, and they've really found the secret to T14 to T18 of the most circuit here in the Czech Republic.
Yeah, there's lots of sweeping corners, and therefore just getting the setup right so you can get through those twiddly parts as quickly as possible is the key to it, because everybody has the same V8 engine, everybody has the same 400 horsepower, all of the cars weigh the best part of 2,700 pounds almost, that's 1,200 kilograms, so anything that you can do that through the corners just gives you that advantage, then you need to work on it, and Hendricks have certainly done that. There is just 0.5 of a second between Loris Hasemans in the lead of the race and Nicola Rocca in second position. Stilis Longines is a long way adrift in third now. He's 6 seconds behind them, but look at the enormous gap he's got back from himself in third to Martin Dubek in fourth. A lonely third place for Stinis, but Mr. Consistency is doing it again, isn't he?
Exactly, and it's actually very interesting, similar to the Elite 2 race as well, where you had the leaders just scamper off into the distance.
Yeah.
You had the third lone driver, and you had 4, 5, 6, 7 and a line together. It's very, very similar to what we saw earlier. So it just shows again, the front two drivers got to break away, and they had clear air, and they just took each other with them. But if you look at the other drivers after Longines, when you're in a fight with the other drivers, like I said, even if you lose the rhythm somewhere or the other, you are going to fall back.
I think the big cue at the moment is behind the number 88 car of Romain Iannetta. Here it is. Here's the cork in the bottle under pressure from the Frenchman
caught up.
Luca Lasser, who has now caught up with the Italian. He has brought with him Tomo Ferrando and Gianmarco Urcoli and another Frenchman, Ulis Delso, with Alexander Graf. And then thereafter, Ander Villarino and Salvador Tinio Arroyo, all not that far away. So that is a great fight for 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and you could argue 12th place, really.
And all led by the local man, Martin Dubeck, giving them a little tour of Czech Republic.
Yeah, a guided tour by Martin Dubeck around the 4.2 kilometre Autodrom Most circuit. So yeah.
And as you go around here, you go into the left, you got Most in the distance. Joe Martin's doing a good job over there.
If you look over to your right, you'll see the castle on the hill, is what Martin
And
Dubeck.
the fastest corner of the track as we come up here.
Yeah, so Martin Dubeck just ahead of, the good thing is he's ahead of that gap, so if he can hang on to it, there's something dragging, is it, underneath Romain Inietta's car, there's something dragging on the ground. Now,
I think that's the front part of his coat on the left.
Yeah.
And now I think Martin's a very good place because Inietta's got to defend Lasser because he knows if he loses to Lasser, he's got Fernando and Ercole behind him. So Inietta's actually in the worst position you can be right now because he has to somehow stay with Dubeck, but he's also got to watch his mirror. So Dubeck essentially is in a very good position. And from the looks of it, Dubeck is going to finish 4th if he can keep this up.
Yeah, Romain Inietta we have seen as a best finish so far this year is 6th position. Well, at the moment, he is on for a season's best of 5th. But Luca Lasser is trying to hunt him down. Remember, Luca is a double former champion. We haven't seen Luca on the podium either so far this season. His best result was the very first race at Valencia, where he was in 4th position. He's had a 5th. He's had another top 10 on top of that. So both drivers potentially looking to try and have a good weekend. And here we go, up towards turn 1 once more. The gap between them all closes up, of course, as they head through the
Luca's going to have a good run out of here. No,
he's just not going to do it, is he? Just not close enough. They close up through turn number 1. Turn number 2 is even tighter, though, isn't it, in reality? Everybody's saying very similar first chicanes you have at Monza.
It's probably the same. I've never driven around Monza, but it's from what I've done on the sim as well, it's almost identical. It's quite sharp. And in the second, it's very important to compromise the first right-hander to get a good exit out of the left-hander because you move up to 4th gear, so it's quite a long straight over there. And you can get overtaken if you don't have a good exit out of turn 2.
You talk about simulators. Most drivers, it's a new circuit to them. Some have tested here, some have raced here in the past, but not many. Did you do some sim work before coming?
Yeah, I think everyone did. I was on my sim at home on R Factor 2. It's quite similar, of course, it's not laser scanned, but it gives you a good idea of what to expect. And like I said, in today's day and age, simulators are so important if you don't have the opportunity to test.
Oh, I know Alan Day was busy on Assetto Corsa driving this circuit, whereas you talk to somebody like Jacques Villeneuve and he says, I don't believe in simulators. He just relies on his experience and the feel. And he's worked for a little bit of a mistake there again. Romain Inietta just ran very slightly wide there. That was coming out of turn number 17.
There goes Lasser, but Lasser's too. That's a big lunge now. He's blocking from Fernando, actually.
He is, yeah. It looks as though he was trying to attack. He's actually making sure that he keeps the number 27 Ford at bay in the hands of Tomo Ferrando, who needs to attack and defend at the same time. He's got Gianmarco Ercole right behind him. Ercole's got the beautiful livery burgundy and black and silver car of Ulysse Del Sosa. The squabble's still continuing. Lap 12 of 17, and well, what a fight it is. 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and you could argue 11th place altogether, but the top 3 looking fairly solid still. And for the first time, Hazelman's has increased the gap. 2 seconds now, first to second.
Yeah, because Rocca's made a mistake on the last lap. Hazelman's did a 43.8, Rocca did a 45.1. So Rocca's made a mistake which we haven't seen, but I think this battle's a lot more exciting right now with this many cars in play for a lot of positions. Because remember, if one driver makes a mistake, he doesn't lose one, he has the chance to lose 5 positions in one go. So that's why it's so important just to stay calm and not to make any rash moves right now.
And stay focused in what are very, very difficult driving conditions inside those cars. 60, 70 degrees, your right foot absolutely burning and almost on the point of blistering as well. But the one thing you've got to do is keep your foot planted on that very hot accelerator pedal. You lift it off, you're going to lose the places.
Exactly. Oh, someone went off. I mean, so you can just show us how hard these drivers are pushing. This mud being kicked up on every corner. And there's a lot of pressure that these drivers are being put through right now.
Luca Lasser seems to be struggling with the front end of the car. It just doesn't seem to turn it. He tries to brake and then rotate the car. It just seems to wash out on him at the moment.
Exactly, as you saw him go wider. But then once again, he was literally on the edge. And he's fallen back quite a bit from Romain Inietta. And I think Fernando's going to have a run. If he sends it down the inside, not yet.
No, it's just, again, it just thinks that, maybe I'll keep my powder dry for the moment. If he's seen Luca struggling with front-end grip, he knows at some point there will be an opportunity. So yeah,
And
just
he's
hang on
close
for the
now. I
moment.
think he's close unless Lucas blocks into the first corner. But again, Lucas got his hand out. I don't know if he's gesticulating at him or did you see that when he crossed the start
or
line?
maybe trying to get some air in. A few of the cars with a few bits of bodywork hanging off. It looks as though again that snatch break, isn't it? From every time Martin Dubeck has now surely flat spotted that tyre, because every time the tyre rotates when he's on the brakes heading up towards turn one, there's that telltale puff of smoke once more, and that is now once again dropping into the clutches of Romain Iniesta. So the fight's on for 4th and 5th position. Luca Lasser still struggling with a little bit in 6th place. Tomo Ferrando in 7th, and Ulysse Del So getting very close to the number 9 car of Gianmarco Ercoli. That will be the fight for 8th and 9th place. Good little battles all the way through the order.
And Dubeck has lost that advantage that he had. Inietta's right behind him. As you can, he's made a mistake. No.
Martin Dubeck,
So
what a shame. He suffered gearbox woes in the race earlier on, but just ran wide there coming out of turn.
He's overcooked it into that corner, and you can. And there goes Lasser on. Nah, that's too risky a corner to make a move, but he's going to get him around the next corner. But evidently he made a mistake over there, and he had a bad exit.
Yeah, he's done some driving this weekend, has Martin Dubeck, and he must be feeling it a bit now. Trying to keep hydrated in these weather conditions is a tough ask in itself. And yeah, it looks as though all of a sudden Luca Lasser's car has come back to him, so maybe he overworked the front tyres a little bit.
No, he smelled the position ahead of him, and he's found a solution. No, but I think Lucas is very wide over there.
Oh, he is.
And he's going to lose a lot of position.
And Tomo Ferrando goes through. Can Gianmarco Ercoli squeeze his way through as well? Martin Dubeck now down into 5th place.
No, Lucas is taking Ercoli off with him. No.
Yeah, it looks like the Frenchman hung on to it, but by the skin of his teeth rather there. But Ulysse Del So has gone through, and also the number 70 car, the white car with the gold stripe down the centre, Salvador Tinio Arroyo is through.
And look at this, Hesmans and Roca, there's 7 seconds gap, so Roca's made a massive mistake somewhere.
He has.
7 seconds.
1 minute 48.6 for the second place car that time through. There's a lock break again from Martin Dubeck. So Loris Hasemans leads by 7 seconds from Nicola Rocca. Stinis Longines is now closing in.
Yeah,
Stinis Longines
3 seconds behind, and he lapped 4 seconds faster over the last lap. So let's see Rocca come around the next time, because he did a 1:48.
There's the mistake. Just talk us through that. Anything obvious there from Martin Dubeck?
So there's a lot of, because you're coming in second gear on the limit, and it's very, very important to pump the brake. Because when you go over curb, the caliper moves out from the brake disc. So it's very, very important to pump your brake as you're going into that corner. So I can only imagine Dubeck probably overdid it, or he didn't have enough brake pressure when he was going into there. That's the only time you can imagine someone makes a mistake into that happen.
It all looks very easy from the outside. It all sounds rather difficult from the inside. And all of a sudden, Stinis Longines is through and into second position.
Got a problem. Rocca's definitely got a problem. He's going very, very slowly. So Longines is in second. There we go.
Oh, yeah, it looks as though he's got a puncture. Yeah, there's a puncture surely for Nicola Rocca, the telltale sign of smoke. And that puts Stinis Longines, guess what, into second position. This potentially could be his 6th second place of the season.
And this also opens up the podium fight now. So we've got 4 cars fighting for position 3 right now. If you look at this, because Rocca's going to go into the pits. Unfortunate, because I think he was doing a fantastic job. It's very, very unfortunate to see that happen to Nicola Rocca. But now we've got Ianietta, Dubeck, Fernando and Ulysse, who are all going to be fighting for position 3.
Well, he's carrying on round, Nicola Rocca is carrying on round. We hopefully won't have to wait another 1,386 days for him to grab another win.
There's only 2 laps to go, he's probably just going to continue.
He's going to continue, but has he got the pace to try and hold off this lot? Visibly, the car is so much slower, and all 4 tyres are inflated. I thought it was a puncture, but
he's going off somewhere because he got front damage, but
yeah, there's nothing obvious. There was a little bit of puff of smoke from the front of the car. There's nothing obvious underneath it, but maybe it's a slow puncture perhaps that he's feeling.
Let's see a sec. Let's look at this. Ianitta's catching him very, very quickly. But I think his damage limitation now, they're not going to have enough time to go and change tyres and come back. So if it's not a puncture, I think he's just going to probably be told by his team to just coast back to the pits.
Go as quickly as you can, but hang on to the racing line and still make them drive around you. He's not going to make it easy for everybody to get through. He wants the podium. He desperately needs the championship points as well after a win yesterday, Nicola Rocca. PK Carsport would like it for the team's championship as well, but he's going to come under pressure from the Racing Engineering Ford in the hands of Romain Iniesta, who potentially could be on for his best result of the season. He's had a couple of 6th places, but nothing better than that, and he's going to go through to grab a podium place here. Not a great deal of defence put up by Nicola Rocca.
And Dubeck is going to be hungry right now. A home podium, he's going to want this. So he's got 2 laps to push as hard as he can to try and... try and catch Ianietta.
Yeah.
And there goes Fernando. He's going to be on the outside of Dubeck.
Yeah, he's got a good...
And we've got Ulis Dancer going wide over there.
Waved yellow flags though in the background, just spotted those, so they need to be careful that they don't overtake through this sector of the lap. So Martin Dubeck now is going to be in 4th position, Tomo Ferrando in 5th place, Nicola Rocca is down to 6th at the end of that lap, but I suspect it's not going to stop there because Ulis Delso and the charging Salvador Tinio Arroyo.
He's got to run on Dubeck, and I think we're going to see a swap for 5th and 6th position.
Let's have a quick look up towards the braking area for turn number 1. They will come. And yeah, Ulis Delso at the inside of Nicola Rocca. Lock brakes ahead for Dubeck, who anchors everything up. So Martin Dubeck, if he hadn't flat spotted those tyres before Advait Yoda, he certainly has now.
And there he go. Just one lap to go, and Dubeck made a mistake, but he's tired. I mean, he's been under pressure, but I think he did a fantastic job till just now. It's unfortunate. And let's see how many places he can make back up. He lost 2 positions in that.
He did, yeah. He's under pressure from the number 70 car of Salvador Tinio Arroyo. He's got the pride of the nation on his shoulders this weekend, has Martin Dubeck. He's coped with the pressure and the attention that he's been receiving from the local fans admirably over the course of this weekend, racing in both Elite 1 and Elite 2, remember, so he's given as much time as he can to the fans, bearing in mind he's a busy chap this weekend, but it certainly looks as though for the moment, Loris Hazemans is on for the win. 11.6 seconds up the road from Stinis Longjin. And, well, for Martin Dubeck, he's still got racing to do, hasn't he? He's got to try and hold off that number 70 car of, what is Salvador Tinio Arroyo?
Who is the biggest mover? Salvador started in 19th, and he's up to 7th place. It is a fantastic job by Tinio.
So that could be not just 30 points, that could be 34. He would bank the additional 4 points for gaining the most places, Salvador Tinio Arroyo. There goes Loris Hazemans over the start-finish line, ready to start his final lap of the race. And if he looks in his mirrors, he's going to see clear tarmac. And it's not very often you can say that in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. There's usually somebody behind you.
This is incredible. He's going to win by over 12 and 13 seconds by the time we end this lap. And let's see the lap times in the... So Ianetta has got Fernando right behind him, who's gone a second faster on the last lap. Who's got Ulis, who's got even faster than him, who's sitting behind him. So this last lap between Ianetta, Fernando and Delso, who are all glued to each other, is going to be very interesting to see.
It could be very tidy, couldn't it? It certainly looks as though Loris Hazemans, what a weekend Hendricks Motorsport have had. Should have been a win for him yesterday. The engine blew up. They changed the engine in 2 hours, so Giorgio Maggi could start in the Elite 2 race from pole position. That was his first ever pole, and he came through to repay the team and grab the win. In the race earlier on today, Maggi finished second, and it looks as though it may well be now a win for Loris Hazemans. 24 hours after the disappointment, he is going to have a huge smile on his face because he is just heading up towards turn number 15 now through the left-hand flick at turn number 16. Then up towards the right-hander at turn number 17, and then from there, it's flat out through 18 and 19 and onto the brakes for the final couple of corners.
Incredible drive by Loris, and it's very, very unfortunate to see what happened to Nicola. So he's in 10th place. He's trying to get as many points as possible, but I'm interested to see 3, 4, 5 at the end of the conditions.
Yeah, we'll wait and see as to how that finishes in the end. Stinis Longjin certainly looks as though he is on for another second position, but it is going to be a second career victory in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series for Loris Hazemans, who comes through to claim the final win of the weekend at Autodrom Most. And maximum championship points, 40 championship points to add to his tally. He will be pleased with that. Came into the weekend lying 4th in the championship standings. He will probably have to forget about, you can drop your worst round. He will forget about the round from yesterday and probably classify that as a drop score.
And drift over here.
Enjoying the moment. Beautiful. A power slide from Loris Hazemans. The opposite lock to try and counter the oversteer from the tail end of the 400 brake horsepower V8. Stinis Longjin might be 11 seconds adrift in second place, but Mr. Consistency has done it again, and Romain Iniesta, congratulations to Racing Engineering. You've had a tough weekend, it would be fair to say, Romain, for the team generally, but Romain Iniesta on the podium for the first time this season. Busy old race, that.
That was absolutely incredible. Top job by Ianetta to make his way up from where he started to get the first Racing Engineering podium since Valencia, if I'm not mistaken. They dominated in Elite 1 with Andre Villarino. I don't think they've been on the podium ever since.
They had 2 wins with Andre Villarino in Valencia and haven't seen a podium since. Racing Engineering.
I'm sure that's going to be great for the team. And I think incredible job by everyone else. Fernando, Delso, Dubeck and Tineo, I think.
I think that's the best Elite 1 result for Ulis Delso as well, isn't it? Finishing in fifth position, the reigning Elite 2 champion. So I don't think he's had a top 10 previously, Ulysse Delso. So RDV competition will be hugely pleased with that. That's number 50 car, if you're intending to tune in on the Goodwood Festival of Speed as well, which is televised globally. You'll see that number 50 car heading up the hill in Sussex in a few weeks' time, because as a result of Hendricks Motorsport, you're all right, Advite, leading the team's championship, that car in the hands of Giorgio Maggi is going to head up the hill at Goodwood as part of the Festival of Speed celebrations. It will be re-liveried for that, I gather, as well. They were hoping the car would leave here in one piece, because the livery is booked to be put onto that car in the next 24 hours. So there it is. It is a second career win for Loris Hasemans. I had the difficult job of interviewing him yesterday after retirement. I'm looking forward to interviewing him today, because he's going to be a happy guy.
I mean, he drove absolutely incredibly. Just as I thought, I knew Loris was going to win. He was hungry after yesterday, because he made no mistakes. The win was taken away from him, and he was consistent all along, made absolutely no mistakes, and I tip my hat to Loris. A fantastic job by him.
One thing we ought to say is not only does Loris win the race, he also wins the junior category as well. Second in the junior category is going to be Tomo Ferrando, actually. He finished in 4th place overall, but he's eligible for the junior trophy. And third in the junior trophy is going to be Ulysse Delso. So we will see him head towards the podium. As for the Challenger Trophy for the drivers 40 and over, then winning that in 12th position overall is the Finnish driver Henry Tuomala. Second in the Challenger Trophy is the Italian Dario Carzo for racers. And third in the Challenger Trophy, and you can head towards the podium if you want for this one. You don't have to hang around. It's your car.
Mauro
Trione.
Oh, fantastic. I mean, superb job. He actually finished 14th, which is very impressive. And, of course, Elaine right behind him. She finished half a second behind him. They've been glued from the very first start. But I'm going to excuse myself. Excuse me for coughing in the last few minutes. And I've enjoyed this race. Thanks a lot, Mark.
My absolute pleasure, and all the best for the rest of the season, Advite.
Thanks. See you later.
There we go, so Advite Dioda leaving the commentary box, rightly so, to go and join in the podium celebrations and get out of the rather warm commentary box, brackets van. So there is our winner for round 8 of the 2019 NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. It's the Hendricks Motorsport Ford Mustang of Loris Hasemans that does it today. Disappointment 24 hours ago turns into absolute delight today for the Dutchman. And he is about to jump out of the race-winning car. Remember, this car won yesterday in the hands of Giorgio Maggi. It finished second earlier on today in the hands of Giorgio Maggi, and has now grabbed another win in the hands of Loris Hasemans. So it's been the car, it's been the team to beat this weekend. There is Bert Longines just heading outside of shot, one of the first to go over and congratulate Loris Hasemans. Bert, the father of Stinis Longines, who we have just seen finish in second position for the 6th time so far this year in the 8 races that we've had. He's had 6 second places, he's had a 4th, and he's had another top 10 as well. Loris Hasemans stands on the roof. You can see the emotion, you can feel the delight and what that means to him and his championship aspirations as well, as he grabs, I'm sure, very shortly a well-earned drink, a bottle of water in hand. But the first thing he does is, play the team member and congratulate the guys that put all of the hard work in to turn out what is always an immaculately prepared Ford Mustang from Hendricks Motorsport. It's such a shame that the sister car to it in the hands of Martin Dubeck probably didn't finish quite as well as we would have hoped at his home NASCAR Grand Prix, but he is just going to miss out on a slot on the junior trophy podium, because he finished in 6th place overall and was the 4th of the junior category drivers home for those aged under 25 years of age at the beginning of the 2019 season. So crash helmet off, hands device off. He looks rather cool, calm and collected, doesn't he, Loris Hasemans? And he will be really pleased with the hard work, the hard result that he put in, and grabbing a quick drink of water for what must have been a tough old race, but to come through and win it by 11 seconds in the end, somewhat aided by the problems that befell Nicola Rocca, who, by the way, did finish. He finished in 11th position in the end at the wheel of the number 24 PK Car Sport Chevrolet, so he will still pick up 26 championship points towards his tally. So it's sort of a damage limitation for Nicola Rocca. So quick drink of water for Loris Hasemans. Andre will be down there ready to grab a word, hopefully in a few moments' time, with our race winner. Let's hear from Loris Hasemans. think we will shortly hear from him. It looks as though Luca Lasserre's car being dragged back as well. Now that did stop out on circuit somewhere, so not entirely sure what happened there. Let's head down towards victory lane and Andre, who's with the race winner.
What a comeback. Engine failure yesterday, today the win. How do you feel? Talk us through the race.
Yeah, it's the best way to come back from a comeback, especially after what happened yesterday. 3 laps to go, and especially how this season started. I think we've always been there in the front. Some mistakes on myself, sometimes we just got it wrong. But it's finally so good to be back on P1.
Can we expect in 2 weeks at Race of Venray, the only oval track in this season?
I mean, I practice ovals in New Smyrna, so I hope that becomes beneficial, and hopefully we can continue this momentum.
All right, your Elite 1 winner, Loris Hesemans.
So great to hear from Loris Hesemans, and as he said, he's been practicing for Venray. He is looking forward to Venray. So let's just have a quick look back at what happens. Nicola Rocca took the early race lead from Loris Hesemans as the pack charged their way up towards the first corner, but further down through the order, it all got a little bit tight. Sebastian Bleekemolen tipped into a spin. Alan Day in contact with, by the look of things, Jacques Villeneuve. Everybody largely left the scene, but for Alan Day, the championship leader coming into this weekend, and the reigning champion, the damage to the car spelt his retirement. Alexander Graf had a very scary moment through the fastest corner, turn number 13, gathered up the Memphis Racing Chevy and headed back onto the track. But for Alan Day, the race was done very early on. Local star Martin Dubeck was being kept very busy indeed, under pressure all of the race to try and hang on to positions, but he got picked off by Luca Lasserre and had a good move up the inside. Initially saw Fred Gabillon trying to squeeze his way through. Dubeck, though, was struggling with the brakes locking heading up towards turn number 1, and also struggling and off on into the gravel. Went 3 times runner-up in the championship, that being Fred Gabillon. As for Thomas Ferrando, well, he was fighting away with the other junior category trophy driver, Gianmarco Ercoli. There was a change of position there midway through the race. And for Luca Lasserre, there was a little bit of contact between himself and Martin Dubeck, and a little bit of gesticulation out of the window as they came round the next corner over the start-finish line from the 2 times former champion. Lasserre then struggling with grip. Martin Dubeck went through as a result of a mistake. Romain Iniesta also managed to grab the place away. And then up towards turn number 20, Martin Dubeck went side by side with Romain Iniesta, brushing into each other very briefly. Fair driving by both, and he grabbed the place back. The lead, though, was all of the time coming down, and Nicola Rocca was pushing to try and close up on Loris Hesemans. And as the race wore on, there was clearly some sort of problem with his car. Martin Dubeck ran wide coming out of the 360-degree hairpin. Luca Lasserre went all through the grass at turn number 17 and compromised his run up towards the braking area, allowing Thomas Ferrando to work his way through. And then as the race wore on, the problems ensued. Nicola Rocca, with some sort of issue, lost out to Romain Iniesta. Martin Dubeck was also trying to unlock the door as well to get himself up into 4th place at the time and see whether he could mount a challenge for a podium in his home NASCAR Grand Prix. As they went round through the corner, though, Nicola Rocca losing further places and dropping ever more down through the order as Ulysse Delceau also got through. For Martin Dubeck, all of the hard work was undone, but for Loris Hesemans, 24 hours after disappointment, there was absolute delight as he came through to win his first race of the weekend, his 2nd career NASCAR Whelen Euro Series race, and he will close in a little bit on the fight for the lead of the junior trophy category. Delight for him in victory lane, and that brings the curtain down on what has been a fantastic weekend of racing. Stinis Longines will leave the Autodrom Most with the championship lead. Loris Hesemans claims the win. Stinis Longines in 2nd place, ahead of Romain Iniesta, who grabbed his first podium of the season in 3rd. Thomas Ferrando was 4th, ahead of Ulysse Delceau in 5th, and Martin Dubeck managed to limp home with a few issues and tyre problems, I think, in 6th position. Salvador Tinio Arroyo in 7th place, surely going to pick up the extra 4 championship points for gaining the most places, ahead of Alexander Graf, Ander Villarino, Sebastian Bleekemolen. Nicola Rocca, with his problems, eventually finished in 11th place, and Henry Tumala won the Challenger Trophy in 12th position. Dario Carzo and Mauro Trioni, 13th and 14th, round out the Challenger Trophy podium. Ellen Lord just misses out in 15th position, ahead of Gianmarco Ercoli, who was there in 16th place. And that wraps up all of the racing action here from our first ever visit to Autodrom Most, and I certainly hope not our last ever visit. It's been a pleasure to be here. The backdrop of the castle that sits above the city has been there all weekend, and what a sight it makes. A very, very picturesque circuit. I do encourage you, if you get the opportunity, come along if we return here next year. But don't forget, in 2 weeks' time, we'll have the only oval circuit on the calendar as we head to the Netherlands and Venray for what will be round 9 of the Elite 1 and Elite 2 divisions of the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series on the 13th and 14th of July. Thanks to all of the drivers that have joined me in the commentary box here at Autodrom Most. Thanks for all of you for looking in as well. It's been a great weekend. Goodbye, everybody, from myself, Mark Werrell, here at Autodrom Most. Goodbye. Good morning and welcome to Autodromo di Franciacorta. Attached for round 6 of the 2000. Welcome to Circuit Solder for the final round. The lights go out, the green flag flies. It's all very tight up towards turn 1. Oh, it's close and there's contact. They're side by side. When the checkered flag falls and the race is done, there's always time for celebrations.